Did the Catholic Church decide what writings went into the Bible and which ones were left out? The answer to that question is no. So, good sir, I'm not here to blast you or anything like that. I'm just here to provide a little bit of education. The Catholic Church, Protestants believe, did not exist until the Great Schism of 1054. Prior to that time, the entire church was Catholic. Now, the word Catholic simply means universal. That is its definition. Now, the Roman Catholic Church came into play in 1054 AD at the Great Schism. That is when the Eastern bishop and the Western bishop both excommunicated one another. It's a whole story and everything like that. You get into church history, which we've been studying, you'll learn more about that. But at that time, that's when the Roman Catholic Church came into power. So again, prior to that time, the church was universal. You had bishops in senior cities or big major cities like Constantinople, Rome, Alexandria, Carthage, Jerusalem. Those were the prominent bishops within the church. But prior to that time, again, prior to 1054, the entire church was Catholic in the universal sense, not in the denominational sense of Roman Catholic. I cannot stress that enough. So if the Catholic or the Roman Catholic Church did not exist until 1054 and the Bible was canonized in the 4th century, there's absolutely no way that the Roman Catholic Church had anything to do with what writings went into the Bible and what writings did not. The Roman Catholic Church or the Catholic Church had nothing to do with that. All right. So when it came to there, no one determined which writings were left out. And so in the same way that I can reach into my wallet and pull out a bill, I'm not going to determine whether that bill is counterfeit or not. I am going to recognize whether that bill is authentic or counterfeit by looking at the marks of authenticity. In authentic bills, there are certain markings, there are certain things that you look for, and not to determine whether it is authentic, but to recognize whether it is authentic. And so in the same way, the early church looked at the writings that were in existence at that time, and they recognized which books were inspired by God and which ones weren't. How did they do that? I'm so glad you asked. Well, they had some standards and some questions that they would ask. Was the book written by an apostle or someone who is associated with an apostle? All right. So if they could determine its author. So that is why books like Enoch did not make it in. All right. Why? Because the book of Enoch was not written by Enoch. That's a whole nother story. All right. So did the book have any errors? If it had errors, then certainly it was not inspired by God. All right. So there were standards like that the early church looked at to recognize whether those books were inspired by God or whether they were not. Doesn't mean that the books don't have good information in them, but it does mean that the books do not contain revelation, something that is given directly from God by virtue of inspiration. All right. So again, just for educational purposes, the Catholic Church had nothing to do with what books went into and out of the Bible. If you want to know more about canonization and what the standards were they looked for canonization, let me know and I'll make another video. But I want to correct that. We keep hearing people say, oh, these people determined what books went into the Bible and what books did not. That is absolutely untrue. And it ain't going to be the last time. I'm sure I'm going to say it at least 50 more times. The Council of Nicaea and Constantine did not have anything to do with what books went into the Bible. There is not one person that ever can produce one source that can produce one piece of evidence that demonstrates that Constantine or the Council of Nicaea had anything to do with canonization or what books went into, what books comprise what we now have as the 66 books of the canonized Bible. Love y'all. Take care.